that's a pretty one.
I am Terry Wardrop, and I live at the Port Townsend EcoVillage. And I started here almost at the first meeting. I think I came to the second meeting that they held. Port Townsend EcoVillage is a community of people that try to live in harmony with the earth and with each other. We're not always successful. We have a very diverse way in which we've gone about how we're trying to make things work. We have 11 lots that have individual homes on them, and we've tried to minimize the square footage and minimize impact. And then we have 2 duplexes. One is owned by an individual and the other is collectively owned by the EcoVillage. And then we have a tiny house lot. We'll have 3 tiny homes on it. And so we've really tried to kind of diversify our housing options and also look at the alternative building methods, the earthen floors, the lime plaster, clay plaster, and really trying, some of the flooring in our house, we collected clay from the beach that had fallen off the cliff. We called it the clay brigade because we had to go upstairs. Anyway, it was not an easy feat to get buckets of clay off the beach, but trying to do things in a way that minimize our impact and minimize harm to each other and to the earth. But we all have such different perspectives on that and what it means, and it's sometimes hard to kind of figure that out and figure that out together in a way that really works for everyone. It's not an easy feat. People often come into it with a lot of ideals and not a lot of practical experience actually living with a lot of other people, and so sometimes it can feel very jarring in terms of the impact that it has. And when collectively we don't agree with you as the individual, it's can be like startling. So the Port Townsend EcoVillage is a place where we are experimenting, and sometimes we fail.
There's 43 people that are part of the EcoVillage, including 2 that haven't arrived here yet. So we have quite an interesting combination of singles and families and people from mid-70s down to, I think the youngest is 6 now. Common values are reverence for the earth, desire to have less negative human impact on the planet. We do things like share shop, and we share tools, we share a tractor. Not everybody has to have one of each thing, as in a typical American household.
Anytime I want, I can walk out and talk to somebody almost, and go to a garden party or work party or the dance parties they have and be social. I mean, it's just really nice to have so many immediate community be new to the area and just great people. I mean, everybody here I just find very interesting and great. Hi, my name's Sol, and this is my tiny house, and it's 400 square feet, and it has this wonderful, lovely deck which extends the square footage, and also 2 lofts, which really make a big difference. So come on in. So now we're inside. And this is half the house. You're seeing about half at one time. And this is, of course, the kitchen. It actually can be a dining room. So I can put this up and eat here, although I really love eating outside. But this area is not finished. I mean, this is beautiful and all that, but I really want it to all be one piece. This is a cheap table I bought and it works fine in the interim, but I want it to be all one piece here with some storage back there. And so that's one of the things that isn't finished. And then here's the kitchen. And actually it's perfect space. When I need a little extra space, I actually can open the window and then put my dish rack out there. And it fits beautifully and is a great way to expand. And with the sun coming in, oh my goodness, it dries the dishes really quickly. You see pots and pans hanging. That's all of my pots and pans. No stove. Oh my goodness. Well, I have a lot of plug-in accessories. I have the induction stove top, which hangs on the wall, and I love making bread. The electric skillet, crock pot, all of that works well. Rice steamer. And then pantry is here and here. And plenty of space for me, for a single person, to store food. And everything from the garden, of course. There's always fresh food from the garden here. And, oh, my refrigerator and microwave. Yeah, I did originally want the refrigerator under here and microwave in this space here. But I don't know, I might be able to find a refrigerator that fits under there. That would be perfect. But until then, this works great. So now let's go upstairs. This is my upstairs. It was really important to me when I built the house that I had a space for guests. So, and it was really important that it was stairs, not a ladder. A lot of people in the village have a ladder to their bed loft, or if you look at tiny homes, a lot of them have a ladder. But with my age and my friends my age, I was like, no way, we're going to have stairs. So there's a beautiful stairs. The thing is it's really easy to forget that you're going to bump your head. So I made a little mobile here that tickles you as you walk up and reminds you you have to duck. But yeah, double bed up here, and I found a headboard and just sawed off the bottom of it. So there's a headboard there and a place for books and belongings. And it's really nice and warm and cozy. And sometimes I come up here because it's really fun to open the windows or see the night sky up there. But it's really more convenient for me to sleep in my little bed nook over there, which I'll show you now. So here's my living area, and I know people have said, like, really, you want it right here in the open? I love it because I can sit on my couch and I can see the outdoors, and it just feels very spacious. So it really works for me. I have moved things quite around. I used to have that there and this. So, and I'll probably continue kind of moving things around to see what I like, but this works really well. I can put chairs here. I have some folding chairs that I can put here. I've even brought the table out, or the table from there, I think it was, and we had a dining. I had friends over dining here. And then this ladder moves, and this goes up to a storage loft and can very easily be moved, totally detachable, and just leans up against the wall. So it makes it very, and then I usually put the curtains over here and makes it very accessible, the bedroom space. This whole piece, I mean, it's a uniquely designed piece of furniture, really, that is a lot of storage. So this is more like a desk area. I mean, it has my shoes. I've been accused of having a lot of shoes, like, who's the Filipino lady? Marcos or something. But desk, and here's, oh, this is a little low, but a desk space. And bookcase. And then the rest of the piece of furniture is my bureau. It has all my clothes in, and the builder said, do you realize this drawer is going to be the size of of a wheelbarrow. And I said, perfect. So it has blankets in and winter storage. And then this is excellent. This has my folding chairs in and has my backpack and has my camping table and broom and dust mop. All sorts of things fit in there. And again, bookshelf. And I love this, like laying in bed, I can just, all my reading stuff and my, all my stuff I need while I'm in bed. And then the closet. And I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do up here. I was going to put wood up, and then I thought maybe curtains. And so I'm trying to decide if I want them transparent like that or I want them solid. But that I'm still looking at how, and also these curtains I'm probably going to change for the color coordination and all. And then there's the bathroom, and a lot of things I got used. This door is actually a very unique size. My brother designed it tiny for a tiny house, but I was able to find it at the used store. And the light fixtures, all of them are from the used store. So yeah, a lot of people are surprised when they come in a tiny house and I have a full bath, but that's something I wanted. Actually, originally I was going to have a bathroom about this big. I was going to have, I know you can have like a shower just on the floor, like just a drain on the floor and you take a shower, and I was going to have a sink on the back of my toilet. I thought, that's so cool. But I did live in a house that had a tiny bathroom sink and I did not like it. And I decided I wanted a bathtub. So it's a full bath, and I love it. And I did the tiling myself. All of the tiling, again, was used. And so my grandson helped me do the tiling. Boy, what a project. But it was fun. It was fun to do it with him, and it turned out great. So.
Had my 77th birthday. Since about 2004, I've been a part of this EcoVillage. When I first came here, I was a renter living in a less than 200 square foot cabin, so I was living very small and had been essentially doing that for most of my life in various settings and in communal settings. So I lived in communities for the largest portion of my adult life. I'm the leader of the land and animal circle. We have various circles you may have heard about. Anyway, but it's all collaborative, but I'm been pretty obsessed. We have a whole new bunch of chicks that are growing into chickens, and so I've been doing everything I can to keep them safe and healthy. We're all about regenerative agriculture in this household and looking for ways to include animals in the rebuilding of soil and a greater biodiversity. This is a straw clay house. When you put it together, you build forms, and then in this case they're a foot apart, with held apart by Larson trusses. So the idea is that there's no thermal bridging, or very, very little. It's fire resistant, and because everything is encased in the aquaphilic qualities of the clay, that everything is mummified, and so it doesn't rot, it doesn't mold. And so the houses that have been built this way, say in Germany and places, 1,000 years ago, are still in good shape. So that was part of the vision. Let's have a whole lot of fun making something that'll last for many, many generations.
What we have here is pretty much a conventional house. It's just, it's windows and roof, and the framing is mostly conventional. But you might notice that it's pretty warm in here. And it's kind of chilly outside. And that was by intention. Would be considered a passive solar house. We've just got quite a bit of glass on the south, but nothing that looks dramatic. It's just, quite a few windows facing south. The long way of the house is facing south. Get some direct heat from the sun, and the floor is concrete, which is intentionally chosen because it has a lot of thermal mass. So there's 6 inches of concrete in this floor, and there's 6 inches of rigid foam insulation under it. So this concrete that we're on is a big boat of thermal mass. Nobody's crazy about living on concrete, it's not that pleasant. So therefore we do an area rug, and I just consider it's the cost that we pay for energy efficiency, And it is concrete isn't necessarily eco-friendly in that it has a fairly high carbon footprint for the making of the concrete. But if you think about it in terms of the life of the house and what you gain over the 100 plus, probably, this house could last a long, long time. And the energy efficiency that's gained by having it there, I pray that it offsets, in the big picture, that it's worth it to invest in that. And so we made that choice. You'll notice how deep these windows are. So these are nice and deep, and that's because it's got the double stud. It's got a stud and a stud with a space between them. So, and that's the whole house is done that way, so that this nice warm air that's warming up the drywall, it can't transfer all the way through and be lost. And that's something that I think has not been widely understood. That if you were to do a thermal image of a conventional house that just has studs that do travel all the way through the wall, if you were to do a thermal image of a building like that on a cold day when there's heat on in the house and it's cold outside, and do a thermal image, you would see lines. Every place there's a stud, you would be able to see where the heat is radiating out of the house. So it really does lose heat. And in the whole shell of the building, it makes a big difference. So now it's starting to be understood, and there's a number of different strategies for creating a thermal break in the wall. These beams are actually almost twice as wide as what we can see. They project up. Because we dropped the ceiling so that we could have sound separation and extra thermal, extra insulation in the ceiling. So we've got a 13-inch space, this much, in the between this ceiling and the upper floor. And so when you were just upstairs, I was thinking, are they up there? Are they going to be coming down? Because I couldn't hear you. So that was by intention also. We went to quite a bit of trouble to try to give some thermal separation.
Welcome to my apartment. This is the upstairs of the house that John and I built. And the apartment up here is a separate apartment with complete kitchen and bathroom and separate entryway. And it's about 430, 440 square feet, depending on how you count it. So this is my little dining nook. And then I have this, I didn't want to build a wall. John wanted to build a wall for the bedroom. And I said, no, I want to be able to have access to the whole space. So I have just a curtain. And this is my office and bedroom space. And someone asked me once what my favorite place in the house is. And there's lots of favorite places. But I'm a translator by profession, so I spend a lot of time sitting in front of my computer, and I look out that window and I see a far view of a forest silhouette, and that just, I love it. Everywhere I look up here, it's greenery, it's sky, it's trees and good light. Oh, I adore this amount of space I have. It's ample for a single person. Luxurious by most world standards, of course, but I don't feel confined at all by the amount of space I have. And then to be able to walk out my door and be in the village, I could go, like this week I had a lot of work, so I was focused a lot on my work here, and then I'd go outside and work in the garden, and we had all these work parties. So I've hardly been out of the village, the EcoVillage, for a week.
I bet they would like to see. My house is fairly large. It's 336 square feet exterior dimension and I think 290 interior. So that's a bit larger than regular houses. It's 28 feet long and 12 feet wide. And I think that makes it a real difference as far as livability goes. It's just like a studio apartment, only bigger. It feels bigger. I just think of tiny houses as normal and everything else is weird. Vicki, who lives here, spent many years working to get all the regulations smoothed out so that it was possible to build tiny houses on this lot. Because this is normally a one-family house with a small additional mother-in-law unit would be the maximum that you could have here.
The tiny house lot, which is 4,000 square feet. That's smaller than your standard Port Townsend lot, but we felt we could put 3 houses there. So that's, I mean, according to the coverage. So basically what we provide is the infrastructure and the land, and then they lease at what we determined was an affordable rate. Basically what we economists call the cost basis. So what it costs us to manage the land.
But I'm looking at actually purchasing the land under here, because how they have it is the EcoVillage owns the land and we own our houses, which is another complexity to the whole situation. And the idea was we were built on these pier foundation things so we can be moved. So technically the house can be moved. Practically, probably be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to move the house. So anyway, that's something I'm looking at, and if it's an advantage financially, because I think better to have my money in this land than in the stock market right now.
I got a certificate of residence before my house was finished on the inside, and that was an excellent thing. I've moved all my things in, and I've gotten into the rhythm of living, and now we are adjusting the cabinets and the built-ins to fit what I'm already doing, and I would highly recommend that. I call living in here, it's not quite camping out, but I call it camping out because I'm still living out of all of my wooden picnic baskets instead of drawers. Here you see the benefit of having an 11-foot wide interior space. Because with that kind of space, we were able to make half of it the bathroom and half of it the kitchen. And this kitchen has a residential regulation 30 inches between the counter and the wall. So it is a kitchen that is built to code. This will make building your tiny house and living in it much easier in a city.
I understand the desire to be safe and to, really make sure that, people can, if there was a fire or anything, that people can get out, and that, those kinds of things. I'm not, against any things that are to keep people safe, but sometimes it feels like the system is geared to really defeat you when you're trying to do different things.
It is challenging, though, to go through, the permitting inspection process. That, of course, if it's built to IRC standards, and it's a lot. for people who were doing self-builds. In Sol's case, she had a builder who's done a lot of building for us. I don't know if they shared costs, but it ended up about twice as much as what the other house, which was strictly DIY. Just the amount of time it takes to figure out and go through the standards if you're not trained in that, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
I heard people who had built tiny houses with $50,000, and I thought, wow, that would be great. And like I said, I'm not somebody who does a lot before I jump in, so I hadn't researched it too much, and I'm not good with details. And when I talked to my builder, some of them said, sure, you should be able to do it for $50,000. And then, I said, well, because my profit from Tacoma had been $100,000. I said, that would be tops. And so decisions came along, and I'd be, well, I do have some wiggle room, so okay, I'll do that. That's a little more expensive, but we can do that, and we can do that. And so sure enough, it got up to $100,000, and it wasn't finished. And I sat down with the builder, I'm like, how could this happen? Because he was great. I mean, he was really good, and Vicki had warned me, she's who kind of mentored me through this, had warned me that things tend to go over budget and to pay a lot of attention to it. And so I sat down with the builder, and $17,000 had gone into it before he stepped on the property. So that definitely wasn't his fault. I mean, he did come in on budget.
So I'm always interested in function, what something's intended to do. Just like living in a small space, changes your interactions, right? So that was kind of always been really interesting to me. Eventually, I ended up doing, I did a master's in public administration, and then eventually a degree in economics, particularly looking at the question of, as it relates to housing, as someone told me along the way, is that everybody should have enough and nobody should have too much. So to me, that's just like encapsulates the challenge of where we are in this country. Tiny houses are a response to what is an inequality and access to land, which is why, I'd love to see zoning change for higher density, for not just for tiny houses, but for middle-end houses as well.
Many years of being a Quaker, familiar with consensus communities, consensus decision-making, and when I joined the EcoVillage, that's what they used, was consensus. December of 2018, they decided to try sociocracy. So through all this process, not only were we dealing with the complexities of building and the decisions of the government and the EcoVillage, but they were changing their government structure. We're still working on it. Just really confusing, really hard to figure out. Still, like I'm planning my landscaping, and I don't know who has to approve it. I mean, it says in the bylaws under consensus making it has to be approved. And when I ask people, they say, oh, it doesn't have to be approved. Of course, some people say, yes, of course it has to be approved. So anyway, there's so much ambiguity. And luckily, I'm very flexible. It doesn't have to be made just today, the decision, but it's still very time-consuming and frustrating.
And we have garden parties twice a week, and you just walk out to the garden, and suddenly people will come from all directions and come in and start weeding and start hauling manure and start harvesting, and there are always lovely little chats in this corner and that corner that are going on. And I think a lot of community business gets done during the garden parties. Integration into a community is always a challenge, because you have, it's like being married to 30 people.
watching our video and for stopping by Tiny House Expedition. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And for more tiny home tours and stories, click the videos below.
And join us on Patreon for bonus content,
including face-to-face conversations with us. We hope to see you there.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.